Greetings, cyberdogs and citizens of the internet. This is RENDOG'S coming at you from the remains of the farmlands in this Let's Play Minecraft Survival series. In the previous episode, we were trying to figure out a way to automate our crop collection using rails, pistons, and redstone. And in this episode, my friends, we are going to finalize the foundations for this giant Victorian auto farming machine. It is going to be absolutely sweet, my friends. I hope you got a tasty ass beverage. I hope you got some crunchy ass snacks, because it is time to play some Minecraft survival. Well, friends, before we get going on today's episode, I got a little bit of an apology to make. It has been a while since the last survival episode. I am so sorry about that, guys. I had an absolutely crazy week of awesomeness the last week before this episode. Ridiculous how awesome it's actually been, and I'm going to tell you guys all about it in this episode while we are working on this little redstone build. In the previous episode, of course, we figured out a way to put pistons underneath crops, and those pistons were being triggered by our rail cart, which were breaking those crops and giving us a chance to pick up the crops as we traveled past them on this railway line. Unfortunately, there were a couple of issues with it. We weren't picking up all of the crops as we were traveling along, and of course there's going to be some issues with planting different types of crops in this configuration. We're going to try and figure that all out in this episode today. What I've started doing now is I've started pushing everything in that direction because I don't want to mess with the location of this path. I want all of this automation to happen in this zone over here. In fact, I've marked out the area using these cobblestone pillars. There's one over there, one over there, one over there, and one over there. So all of the automation needs to happen in this area. And what we discovered in the previous episode is that our railway needs a little bit of a run-up coming into the actual automated section of it. So that's why I've pushed everything just a few blocks in that direction. Now, guys, I want to talk to you about some crazy stuff that happened over the last week or so, which resulted in me not being able to release as many survival episodes as I wanted. Number one, and probably most importantly, we started live streaming Minecraft Survival on Twitch, on my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/RENDOG. It was absolutely insane, guys. The first day that we live streamed Survival, we had over 330 people watching at one point, which was absolutely ridiculous. And I know what you guys are asking right off the bat. I just heard one of you guys ask, well, did you die? Yes, I did. I died numerous times, actually, rather embarrassingly, in fact. Not only did I die, but I also lost most of my freaking gear. I also lost all of our pistons, all of our powered rails from the last episode, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I've actually been in the strip mine for a couple of hours before this episode, made myself 64 more sticky pistons, and went to get some more gold so that I could recreate my powered rails. It was kind of face-palmy, guys. I'm going to admit it, man. I face-palmed in front of the whole Cyberdog Nation. They watched me get fragged by a creeper and fragged by numerous other mobs. It was kind of embarrassing, but we had an absolutely amazing time together. It was awesome. Thanks to all of you Cyberdogs who came out for that live stream, man. It was brilliant stuff. And if you guys missed it, you can go check it out on my channel. I've uploaded all of the live streams to my YouTube channel, so go and check it out, guys. But that has meant that I have not been able to make as many survival episodes as I wanted last week. Not only that, but last night, the 10th of July, for the very first time ever, I live streamed my game, my mobile game that I've been developing for the last 4 years or so. It's called The Legends of Zor. We had about 30 to 40 Cyberdogs playing the game against me live on Twitch, and it was absolutely fantastic. It was an amazing time. Had such a good time with the Cyberdogs last night. It was a 4-hour live stream, and you guys might be able to hear that my voice is sounding a little bit knackered today. You can blame the Cyberdogs for that, man. It was a long live stream. We had such a good time, though. It was just absolutely fantastic. Thanks to everybody who came out for that event also. It was sweet. But guys, don't you worry. We are back into the game, back into survival, and we've got loads more episodes to come. Now, what I have been working on at the minute is trying to figure out how this thing is actually going to run. Now, I did a little bit of this clearing out on the stream, which is why it's looking quite different to the previous episode. But the way that I kind of want this thing to run is I want it to run in a zigzag motion, right? So I want it to go up and down like this all the way along this area. So up and down, all the way back like this, all the way to this location here, and then I want the railway track to loop back to the original starting position, which I suppose we'll make over here. So that's kind of how I want to lay down the tracks. I tell you what, guys, I'm going to get the tracks laid down just so that we can look at the foundation for this thing. I'll bring you back in a sec. You know what, from this position, this whole thing is starting to make a lot more sense to me. It was starting to confuse me a little bit as I was working on this, guys, but check it out. I hope this makes a lot more sense to you guys. Now, what we're trying to do is run a railway cart in a zigzag pattern all the way along this cobblestone path, and as it's traveling along this cobblestone path, we want it to be collecting crops in the way that we set up in the previous episode. So that's the kind of plan. What I still need to do, though, is figure out a way to loop the railway line all the way back to the start position, and it looks like we still need to fill in another line over there, it seems. So there still seems to be a little bit of work for me to do around here. Now, I want to have a quick chat, guys, about this particular block while I continue working on this design. Look at this. It is a wooden slab without a texture, and I know that some of you guys noticed that in the previous episode and you were asking, what's going on there? And I do believe we have a couple of stacks of these things in one of our chests also. Now, it took somebody in the stream that we had last week to figure out what that freaking thing is. And guess what, guys? This is a Minecraft 1.2 beta wooden slab block. And that is why it is not registering a texture. It's actually a very rare block. And when I was in the stream, when I found it in the stream, I actually tried to throw it away. And the people that were watching the stream went absolutely freaking bananas, man. They were like, Rendog, that is a beta block. That is extremely rare. You can't throw that away. So we have collected now 47 wooden slabs from around this area. And you know what, guys? You know what's really interesting about this block? Check it out. I think we can probably find a couple more. I think they're probably over... let's see if we can find one... over here. But yes, here we go. Here's some of them. Now, what's interesting about this block is that Minecraft sees these blocks as a stone slab, and that's why you need a pickaxe to break the old blocks. Do you guys remember all the way back in Season 1, I used to complain about the fact that I had to break these slabs with a pickaxe and not with an axe? And of course, that is because the way that the 1.2 slabs were recognized is that these are basically stone slabs that are skinned as wooden slabs, but they are still recognized by the game as a stone slab. That's pretty interesting, right, guys? So we've got an entire stack of wooden slabs over here from beta block slabs. And I'm thinking that we might do something a little special with them. I know that I've got a couple more stacks of them in the Molehole Castle somewhere. Maybe we could make like a place dedicated to the old Cyberdogs or something like that. But just something that I wanted to share with you that I thought was kind of interesting, guys. But I tell you what, I'm going to finish off this foundation for our traveling minecart, and then we will start getting in the pistons. Cyberdogs, I have had an epiphany, man. I think I've just figured out a way to get our railcart to stop dead in its tracks at the very first start position of this entire system. Check it out. Okay, so if the minecart is starting from this location over here, traveling all the way around the zigzag, going up into the overhead line, it's going to come all the way back here, and what we could potentially do is make that railcart ramp off this position and land dead center here, bam, right back at the start location. And because of that, it won't start again, and the only way we can get it to start again is by hitting the button again, right? I think that might be just crazy enough to work. Oh, I don't have a button here to give it a test, but I definitely want to test this out, guys. Let me get this set up, and we will have a look if this is going to work the way that I want it to. All right, here we go, guys. So if the starting position looks a little something like that, right? We've got the button on the wall above the powered rail to trigger the minecart into the system. If we come all the way back, so the minecart's traveled all the way along the zigzags and come back to, say, this position over here, it's traveling at full speed also because it's going to be powered by the powered rails. Let's get a powered rail in there and let's give this thing a test, my friends. I'm going to get in the minecart. Boom! We're going to go like this and bam! Land straight at center. Nice. That is actually working brilliantly. Check it out. So now we are back at start. We could press the button to start the system again, but I just want to make sure that the minecart isn't going to ramp into this block or something weird like that. Let me just set up a proper power rail system up there and we'll have another try after this. Alright, test number 2, guys. I've powered that rail with the redstone torch next to it, and now we're going to be able to see if this is going to work perfectly, right? So let's get our minecart in here. We've gone all the way around the zigzag. We've come up onto the overhead bridge, and we are traveling all the way back to start. Boom, we hit the powered rail, and bam, landed beautifully back at start. Now we can hop up. We've collected all of our crops around the system, and we can get the jazz out of here. Absolutely amazing. That's working beautifully, guys. You know, it's sometimes the simplest designs in Minecraft are the most awesome, right? Or the most practical anyway. Now, we have a lot of redstoning to do in this particular build. Not only redstoning, but we also have a lot of work to do to make this place look pretty. Right now, it's looking a little bit like a bombshell, looking a little bit butt ugly, guys, but we are going to be trying to incorporate a greenhouse design into this whole thing. Try to get it look absolutely freaking gorgeous. Now, let's have a look at exactly how these lanes are going to work. Let me just replace this gravel with dirt. And I think we are pretty close to just laying in the pistons now. All of the dirt tracks that you see, this is basically the representation of where the water sources are going to go. So underneath these dirt tracks are going to be the water sources, and to the sides of the dirt tracks are going to be the crops. Okay, I'm pretty happy with how this is going, guys, but I've just realized a little something. We're going to have to try and figure out a way to grow pumpkins and melons in this design. Currently, this configuration is going to grow wheat, carrots, and potatoes just fine, because those are crops that you can plant directly into a block, right? But a melon and a pumpkin, they have to grow from another block. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see if we can figure out a way to get those melons and pumpkins growing in here. Some of these lanes, I suppose, perhaps in the middle of this whole greenhouse are going to have to function in a different way, or we might need to add a second level or something like that for pumpkins and melons that will work in a completely different way to the bottom story, which is going to be wheat, potatoes, and carrots. So yeah, a lot of work to do, my friends, but man, I am super excited about this build. It's going to come out real nice. Cyberdogs and friends from all over the world, now we are starting to make some progress up in here, man. Check it out. I have laid down the entire track for the very first lane, and we've just gone around the corner and I've just started working on the second track. Now, this is turning out to be one of those builds that I've underestimated. You know, when you start a new Minecraft build, you got the idea in your brain, you think it's going to be freaking sweet, but you don't realize how much resources this freaking thing is actually going to take, right? And looking at how many pistons, for example, we've used just for the first and the second track, things are starting to stack up, and we are not very rich when it comes to slime. We're going to have to go on a giant slime farm at some point, guys. But as you can see, I have tried to add a little something here to increase the length of the track. The redstone signal coming from this detector rail into these powered rails is only going to last for about 7 blocks, and so we have to reset the signal again. So what I've done is I've added a normal rail and another detector rail in here. So essentially we trigger the track twice when we go over this thing. You can see we trigger it twice like that, and that is going to allow us to collect the crops all the way along the line here. Now what I have done with these stone slabs is I've added some water sources underneath them. So the stone slabs gives us a good idea, or the stone bricks, excuse me, they give us a good indication of where those water sources are. Now, while I've been working on this, I've suddenly realized that this build is going to be kind of cramped. In fact, it's going to be very, very cramped. And what I want to try and do is get a whole bunch of bio into this build if possible. I want vines, I want some, I don't know, I want some leaves. I want the inside of this greenhouse to feel like a biodome of some kind. And if we do this design with all of these stone slabs up in here, I think that's going to look kind of ugly. So what we might have to do, and just thinking about it off the top of my head now, we could replace these top blocks over here. I keep saying stone slabs for some reason, but if we replace the top blocks with dirt like this, right? And the reason that we need this wall over here is because when we break the croppage, we need the croppage to bounce off of this particular block so that we can collect it as we travel along here in our rail cart. Now, we could add some trees potentially on top of this line. That could be pretty cool, and some bushes and some grass and some flowers and so on, and that would create a nice little biosphere within this dome. The roof is going to have to be pretty high though if we're going to stick trees in here, but you know what? That's totally cool by me. I want to make a nice huge Victorian greenhouse. I think it's going to turn out very, very nice indeed. Now, let's get cracking on working on the second line here. This is kind of an interesting one because I wanted to bring you guys back. What we're going to have to try and do is get our detector rail to send its signal around the corner over here. We want the first pistons to be triggering in this position, so I'm thinking we probably need oh no, this is going to be the first piston trigger. It's going to be in this line. So we kind of want our detector rail to be, oh, you know what? We could stick the detector rail right about here, actually. Yeah, I've got another one in the belly. There we go. Boom. Now that's going to send some redstone signal going in this direction, triggering all of these pistons. Let's get those redstone signals in place here. Now the way that we do this, super grindy, but is actually quite fun. I think I'm going to fill this up though, because we could get some spawns in there. So check it out. Our first pistons start over here. This is where our detector rail is, so we need our redstone signal to start from this position. So we're going to add our redstone like this in between the pistons, and of course what's happening over here is that the redstone is going into this block and triggering both pistons at the same time, which is a really nice efficient use of redstone if you ask me. So check it out. There we go. Bam. Now, one of the problems that we're going to have here, guys, is that we don't have a lot of powered rails. In fact, we've got 2 powered rails left, which ain't a good thing right now. This is not good. We're going to have to go on a gold grinding mission, I think, and a slime grinding mission at some point. Maybe we will do that in the next live stream, actually. That seems like a good plan for the next live stream. Are these totally lined up here? It doesn't look like it, but where is the last piston? I think the final piston is over here. Yes, it is. Oh, did I just break the redstone? Oh, dang it. I think I just busted up all of our redstone. That wasn't very smart, RENDOG'S, you freaking noob. Yep, broke the redstone cabling. All right, let's get that relit like so. There we go. Where's the final piston? Is the final piston over here? I keep forgetting. We're going to break it again, though. Yeah, Nice one, RENDOG'S, you damn redstone noob. There we go. Beautiful. Now, let's get our rail track down again. There we go. Just like that. And how many? Yeah, we had 2 more powered rails in this position, and then we went back to normal rails, I think. There we go. Yes, let's just test that again. Just want to make sure that we are going to be traveling fast enough to go around the corner. So let's go, boom, trigger again, boom, go around the corner, trigger again, and all the pistons trigger. And of course, at the halfway point in this line, we're going to have to add another piston trigger to get everything triggering correctly. So this is kind of looking pretty sweet, guys. I'm digging it. What I'm going to have to do, though, is add another water source next to these pistons. So we can do that now as the last part of today's episode. And while I'm doing this, my friends, I want to have a quick chat with you, because I've been reading the comments of the last episode, and there were a ton of you cyberdogs out there saying, RENDOG, why are you doing your auto farm in this way? There's such easier ways to do auto farms. For example, you could just, for the love of all that is holy, literally use water to wash away all of the crops, right? So you could have a giant block of crops, then you could have a dispenser that puts water over the crops, breaks all of the crops, and then you could have a hopper that collects them, or something along those lines. And yes, I agree, we could make a much more simple farm than we're making right here. But guys, this world, this survival world that I'm making is not all about simplicity. It's not all about efficiency. I'm not, totally, I've done this completely wrong, my bad. But, my intentions in this survival series is not to make the most efficient stuff possible, not to make the most efficient builds that we can possibly make. Oh no. My goal in this series is to create functional, efficient builds that are also extremely beautiful. One of my greatest joys in Minecraft is creating really beautiful things. That's one of the things that I get the most pleasure out of in this particular game. So, a lot of people get pleasure out of making super efficient builds, super amazing redstone builds that work 100% perfectly, that function optimally, and all of that sort of thing. But guys, I am not that kind of Minecrafter. I like to create beautiful things, okay? My goal is to create art in this particular game. And my plans for this Victorian greenhouse are grand. They are awesome. And just to have sort of water dispenser breaking some crops on a big flat surface, that is not going to be beautiful. This is going to be a beautiful world, a beautiful design, because we are going to be making use of railway lines and bio. So I think that railway lines next to the green bio that we're going to be able to plant in here is going to look really cool. I think it's going to look absolutely beautiful. And what we can try and do is get some water in here too, maybe some waterfalls or something like that. That could look pretty awesome also. So yes, I agree, Cyberdogs. I could be doing this in a much more efficient manner. There's definitely more efficient ways to actually do this thing, but for the purpose of this survival series, we are making things beautiful. I want to make this greenhouse as gorgeous as I can possibly get it looking, and as you can see, it is looking a little bit too ugly for me right now. It's looking very industrial, and I don't want it to look industrial at all. I want it to look really sort of like a biodome, okay, like a beautiful Victorian biodome, a greenhouse, a big ass greenhouse is the plan. So we're going to have a lot of work to do to make this place look beautiful. The first thing that we need to do, though, of course, is make the place work. We need to make it function correctly, right? If we don't do that, there is no point in even starting on the beautification of this Victorian greenhouse. So we got a lot of work ahead of us, guys, but you know what? That is the beautiful thing about Minecraft. There is always something to do, always something to finish, and man, this is going to be one of those sweet ass builds that we get our teeth stuck into. Now guys, that is unfortunately the end of today's episode. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I'm going to be checking the comments of this video very closely if you guys have got some awesome ideas for me on how to perhaps make the build a little bit more efficient but keep it beautiful. That's the kind of comments that I want to see from you guys. We're going to have to go on a gold grind, we're going to have to go on a slime grind, lots of work to do right here on the RENDOG'S channel. So glad to have all of you Cyberdogs with me for the ride, and I really hope you are enjoying it. Guys, this has been RENDOG'S playing Minecraft Survival. Our Victorian greenhouse is coming on a treat. It is going to be absolutely awesome. We will see you guys in the next episode.